Hello, my name is Kenny Kremer, and today I will be talking to you about the story of Gideon, structured in the hero's journey, which is a story structure written by Christopher Volker, giving people a blueprint on how to analyze stories and character development. And it's very helpful to anybody who wants to understand stories for any movies. The hero's journey has 12 steps to it, which I will be going over as we progress through the whole story of Gideon. Step number 1 is the ordinary world. This is where the Israelites are being overpowered by the Midianites because God has allowed them to overtake them. And we see Gideon struggle with this as well in Judges 6:11, where he is collecting wheat and is hiding it from the Midianites who are overpowering them. Step number 2, the call to adventure. This is the part of the story where God comes to Gideon and tells him that Gideon will be the one to take down the Midianites with God's help. Step number 3 is refusal of the call. This is the part of the story where Gideon believes that he is too weak to help God in his challenge. In Judges 6:15, he talks about how he's the weakest in his clan, while also his clan is also the weakest. Step number 4, meeting with the mentor. The mentor in this story will be God because he is the one devising this whole plan and is the reason Gideon is going on this quest in the first place. Step number 5, crossing the first threshold. This is where Gideon takes action in setting off on this adventure by offering God a sacrifice. Judges 6:24 says, "Then Gideon built an altar to the Lord and called it, 'The Lord is Peace.'" Step number 6 is tests, allies, enemies. In this part of the story, this is where Gideon destroys the altar of Baal, and the worshippers of Baal seek out Gideon to kill him. But Gideon's father steps up and says that if what Gideon did was wrong, then they should have Baal himself punish him instead of the worshippers. Another part of this step is when Gideon asks God for a sign to promise him that he will reign triumphant over the Midianites. Does this with the fleece, see if it dries while the ground wets, and vice versa. Step number 7, approach to the Inmost cave. This is the part where God asks Gideon to diminish his army from 32,000 men to a simple 300. And because of this, Gideon starts to feel a little bit afraid that he doesn't have enough men, which is why God has him go into the camp at night in order to overhear a dream that one of the enemies has, which promises that Gideon will reign supreme. Step number 8, the Ordeal. This is where Gideon and his army smash the pots and blow the trumpets to frighten the Midianites and defeat them over their own confusion. Step number 9 is the reward. Now this is the end result of the battle, if you could even call it that, and Gideon and his army reign supreme. Step number 10, the road back. This is where Gideon confronts the leaders of the Midianite army and eventually has them killed. Step number 11 is the resurrection. This is where Gideon is faced with the idea of him leading the Israelites after the Midianites were destroyed. And instead of having that happen, Gideon declares God as the main leader of the Israelites. And finally, step number 12, return with the Elixir. The Elixir here represents the idea that Gideon is no longer the weakest in his tribe, but is now seen as a faithful leader to the Israelites, as well as a faithful servant to the Lord. Thank you so much for watching, and see you later.